All right, I would just like to take a moment and tell you about some of the things that I think are the worst. Number one, people who drive slow in the left-hand lane on the highway. As many of you do, I drive on a highway every single day, and nothing grinds my gears worse than when I'm trying to get around a slow car in the right lane and someone is just basically parked in the left lane and they are just minding their own business, doing their own thing. You're like, I just want to get around this slow car and I'll get back over and we're fine. You can also do the same thing. All right, so this one might be a little bit controversial, but we'll see what you think. You might disagree, but another thing that I think is the worst is taxes. Okay, you probably don't disagree with me, but think about it. You got income tax, you got sales tax, you got property taxes, and you got a whole bunch of other taxes. Not my favorite. Okay, I know this one is going to be controversial, and some of you might unsubscribe from my channel for mentioning this. But the last thing that I think is the absolute worst, candy corn. So who in their right mind would want to eat sweetened candle wax? I mean, come on, people. Can we just get rid of it? Also, it kind of just looks like earwax. So I would say that's definitely the worst. Hey everybody, my name is Tim Gibson, and if you have not unsubscribed from my channel about the old candy corn comment, then my channel is all about North Georgia real estate. Please subscribe or maybe resubscribe if you are interested in North Georgia real estate, and my contact info is on the screen if you would like to talk more about North Georgia. Okay, so keeping with the theme of the worst things ever, I've heard a lot of rumblings about 2024 was the worst year ever for real estate, and my question, and the question we hope to answer in this video is, was 2024 the worst year for North Georgia real estate? All right, so was 2024 the worst year ever for real estate in North Georgia? I can tell you one thing, it was one of the worst years ever for realtors. There is a stat, I believe it came from Inman, which is a real estate trade publication. They published a stat that kind of blows my mind. I saw this floating around social media and on the news a little bit in early 2025. The stat actually said that 71% of real estate agents across the country did not sell a single house in 2024. Thankfully, due to my awesome clients and those of you who choose to call from watching my videos, I was not one of those agents, but I had a lot of friends in the industry who had a pretty tough year last year. But what does that mean about the North Georgia real estate market? And was it really that bad in terms of buying or selling houses? So here's what we're gonna do in the video. We're just gonna compare 2024 to 2008, which was one of the worst real estate markets in history. And we're gonna see how bad 2024 actually was, or if it wasn't that bad. So let's talk about home prices first. In 2024, the median sales price in the state of Georgia actually increased by 3% to $360,000. And the average sales price increased to about $440,000. So anytime sales prices increase, that usually indicates a pretty strong market, or a decent market at least. And by comparison, in 2008, house prices actually declined in the area by about 21%. So 2024 is not looking that bad by comparison. Okay, so next is going to be sales volume. So new listings in 2024 actually increased 16% year over year. And usually what you see, an increase in supply of materials, and in this case, we're talking about houses, there tends to be a little bit of a decrease in price, supply and demand, all that good stuff. Pending home sales were flat at about a 0.5% increase, and closed sales were up about 0.33% for year over year. We're talking about 2023 versus 2024, so not really much of an increase there. And by contrast, in 2008, home sales actually dropped by 6% in 2008. So we're seeing that 2024 doesn't look like it's so bad, especially compared to 2008. All right, so we're gonna talk about inventory levels next, and what does that mean? When I say like 3 months of inventory, that means that if every single house that is listed sold, it would take 3 months to sell them all. So for 2024, new construction had about 3.5 months of inventory on average, and resales or previously owned homes were about 3.4 months of inventory last year. That still means basically we're in a seller's market, so that's good for those of you who are thinking about listing your homes. As we all know, in 2008, the crazy housing market led to a massive oversupply of homes, which led to a massive drop in sales prices. Okay, so another thing that affects home prices and the real estate market as a whole is mortgage interest rates. So mortgage rates were pretty high for 2024, especially when you consider the drastically low rates during COVID, 2020 to maybe even 2022. Mortgage rates were somewhere around 6.5% in the early part of the year. They peaked up to, around 7% or maybe just a little bit higher around May. And rates ended just below 7% in 2024, and combined with high house prices, those high interest rates, led a lot of buyers to just kind of wait on the sidelines and see if the rates were going to drop in 2025 and beyond. So oddly enough, looking at 2008 by contrast, the rates looked like they were about in the sixes in 2008. And in 2008, in an effort to stabilize the housing market, the Fed started to decrease rates, and I think they ended up somewhere around 5% at the end of 2008. All right, to sum it all up, 2024 was quite an interesting year for the real estate market in North Georgia. A couple of the major factors affecting the real estate market were high interest rates, high inflation across the board. I mean, eggs are about $8 a dozen right now. And the other thing is that with those high interest rates, you also had high house prices, so it just priced a lot of people out of the market. And by contrast, 2008, we had a massive downturn in the housing market. And you also had a complete oversupply of homes. You had a mortgage crisis going on. And I would say that 2024 doesn't even compare in terms of how bad the market was in 2008. So that gives us hope going forward into 2025 and beyond that we'll see a good real estate market going forward in North Georgia. Give me a call if you have any questions about what you think the market is going to be doing or what I think the market is going to be doing in 2025. So tell me what you thought about the video. Do you think that 2024 was a terrible market for real estate? As always, my number is on the screen. Please reach out if you have any questions, and we'll see you on the next video.